Well, hello there! It's only been 6 months since my last video in my series of Barbarian reviews. I have no excuse for waiting so long to do a review of another Barbarian story. All I can say is I got caught up reviewing other things and I forgot to get back to doing the things that I had intended to review with this series of videos. Anyway, if you were waiting patiently for the last half of a year for me to talk about the 1984 film Conan the Destroyer, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, then wait no longer, for here are my thoughts. If you recall, one of my biggest problems with the 1982 Conan the Barbarian movie was that it took so long for anything even resembling a story to happen. It was something like 30 minutes before the conflict and the quest was introduced to our main character. And while I'm not sure if I'm prepared to say that this movie is superior to the previous film, I will at least say that this movie does not make this particular mistake. We open with Conan and his comic relief, mostly useless sidekick sitting in an altar when a battalion of soldiers approach them. Conan dispatches with most of them, and then their leader, Queen Taramis, offers Conan a deal. Conan is mourning for the loss of Valeria, who died in the previous film, and Taramis will bring her back to life if Conan will perform a task for the Queen. The Queen's niece is destined to go on a quest for a magic horn, and the Queen wants Conan to guide and guard the niece on her journey. I will say that I like that this movie is not ignoring the previous Conan film, as I thought it would. I've said before that I'm only really familiar with Conan through the Marvel Comics series from the 1970s, written by Roy Thomas. And the Conan of that series, if a lady that he had gotten groiny with had died, I imagine he'd just go and find a new lady. But it feels right that this movie isn't James Bonding it, if you will. Conan had a thing with a warrior woman, one who I actually liked more than Conan himself, and he's not easily going to forget her. Ultimately, Conan mourning for the loss of Valeria is really only a plot device to get him involved in the story. This is because, like I noted in my review of Conan the Barbarian, Conan is really just a misanthrope who doesn't fit in with society, and he prefers to just do his own thing and be left alone. So this movie needs Conan to have a motivation to do what he's going to do in this movie, and I'm okay with that. So anyway, the Queen gets to talking with the captain of the guard, Bombarda. She tells him that it is important that her niece be a virgin so that they can sacrifice her after she has found the magic horn. And the Queen also wants Conan to be killed after they have finished their quest. So Conan, Princess Jenna, Captain Bombarda, and Conan's useless friend Malik all go to find this magic jewel which will lead them to a magic horn. Along the way, they find a woman named Zula who is part of a band of raiders that was thwarted from attacking a small town. Princess Jenna orders Conan to help even the odds, as 6 of the townsfolk are attacking Zula, but she seems to be holding her own. Nonetheless, Conan breaks the chains holding her back, and then Zula follows Conan, swearing to give her life for him. From this point on, hilarity ensues as the group goes from one quest to another. I am beginning to suspect the reason why the Conan the Barbarian movie took so long to get to the story. It's because it seems like these Barbarian movies can't come up with a decent story that will last an hour and a half. In the previous movie, Conan's main goal was to kill Thulsa Doom, and everything in between Conan deciding that he will do that and actually doing that is more or less just filler. In this movie, we have a pretty straightforward task: find the horn. But since it would only take our crew about 15 minutes to actually find the horn, we have to slow them down every way we can. So they first have to get a magic jewel that only Princess Jenna can touch. And they are slowed down by a monster man who attacks Conan, and the princess is kidnapped by Toth Amon, who, by the by, we have no idea what his motivations even are. When Conan runs him through with a sword, Amon goes for the jewel, which turns him into broken glass or beams of light or something. But the jewel was in Amon's castle. Oh well, Amon really isn't important. Like just about everything else that happens in this movie, he's just a distraction for the heroes until we get to the end of the movie. So our heroes find the jewel. Then they are attacked by a squadron of the Queen's soldiers. Conan, despite certain scenes in this movie and the majority of the previous movie, is not stupid, and he calls Bombarda on this, and asks why the Queen had them attacked and tried to kidnap her own niece. Bombarda makes the best out of a really bad situation and claims that these men were not working on orders from the Queen. This just needs to be addressed right now. The Queen wants Conan killed as soon as they find the jewel. This makes no sense. What would have actually made sense? How about have Conan deliver Princess Jenna back to the castle safely and then drug his alcohol and throw him off a cliff? The only reason Queen Taramis has her men attack Conan in the middle of their quest is to provide another halt of the plot and to postpone the ending of this film, which would come much sooner if characters like Queen Taramis acted with some common sense. So anyway, then Conan and his friends go to another castle and they use the jewel to get to a magic horn. Then, yet again, a large squadron of soldiers working for the Queen surround our band of thieves and say that they want the horn. They claim that they are keepers of the horn and that it is rightly theirs. Okay, if it was yours, why didn't you just take it? And if you are keepers of the horn, why did you let these jokers into your castle to take the horn in the first place? I get that these guys are working with Queen Taramis, and I assume they aren't really the keepers of the horn, but why are they acting so stupid? Couldn't they come up with a better cover story? Surprising absolutely no one, our heroes don't seem to catch on to this stupid lie, and they just skip to attacking these guys. They manage to make a getaway, but then Bombada single-handedly causes a cave-in while they are all in a tunnel, and he separates himself and the princess from the rest of the group to make their escape back to the castle. Then Conan realizes that he has been set up, and that he will not be getting back together with Valeria, at least not by Taramis's hands. So they go back to the castle to rescue the princess from being sacrificed. Taramis' high priest puts the magic horn on this statue of a dreaming god, and the god is supposed to come back to life. The plan is, once he is brought back to life, they will have control over him. And I'm not entirely sure what they want to do with this god, but presumably it has something to do with conquest. Anyway, as soon as the statue starts to come to life, the princess needs to be sacrificed. Conan and his friends stop the sacrifice, and the statue becomes a monster. I'm not sure if this was the desired result, or if it became a monster because they didn't kill the princess soon enough. Anyway, Conan kills the monster, and then the movie ends with Jenna becoming the new queen. She appoints all of Conan's comrades to be part of her new court, and then Conan declines being her king and tells her that he has to find his own kingdom. At this point, I'm a little confused. When exactly did Conan find out that he would one day become a king? We know that he will, based on the end of the first film, when the narrator and Conan's chronicler tells us that one day he will become a king. But how does Conan know? As far as I know, nobody actually told him that he will, right? I guess you could say, well, he's a conqueror. Maybe he just plans to find a nice, comfy kingdom and take over one. But then, why does he say no to Jenna when she offers him this very thing? Maybe there's no sport in it. Maybe, but we don't really know. I don't always have to have everything spelled out for me, but it would have been nice to have this maybe a little bit more clear. And then, I poo you not, this movie ends in exactly the same way as the first movie did. We see an image of an older Conan sitting on a throne, and the chronicler tells us once again that that's a story for another time. Unfortunately, we never did get the story of how Conan became king, and I suspect even if we had gotten 2 or 3 more Conan movies with Arnold, we never would have. Now that it's been almost 30 years since Conan the Destroyer, we've had another Conan movie that is essentially a reboot of the franchise, and I've heard whispers of rumors that Arnold will come back to finally do the old King Conan story. So who knows if we'll actually get it. But for now, as of the recording of this video, if you want to see the story of the barbarian who becomes the king, my suggestion would be to go watch Cole the Conqueror, starring Kevin Sorbo. As I said in my review of that film, it was intended to be the 3rd Conan movie, and if you're really desperate to see the conclusion of this subplot, then I guess you can go see it in a little bit of a weird way there. One thing I did like about this movie is also the one thing that is probably the most understated. The idea of destiny seems to play a part in this movie, and it's unfortunate that it doesn't have more prominence here. We're told a couple of times that it is Princess Jenna's destiny to die so that this dreaming god can be brought back to life. And Conan makes it his quest in the last 15 minutes of this movie to ensure that she does not go to meet her destiny. Meanwhile, we've got a very underdeveloped subplot of Conan one day becoming a king of his own kingdom. Conan, I guess, sees this as his destiny. I really wish we had had more of a parallel between these characters. One character has a good destiny, the other one a really bad one. Unfortunately, if you take away just a couple of lines of dialogue, then this whole theme disappears entirely. Overall, I would say this movie's plot is about as good as the plot of the first movie. That's not saying a whole lot, really. Both movies have lots of questionable head-scratchers that keep them from being perfect films, or even okay films. The acting here is, well, it's not great, so that's also something this movie has in common with its predecessor. The only thing I can say that this movie has over the previous one is that it doesn't waste time getting to the story. I would say, unfortunately, like the first movie, I don't think I'll be watching this movie again. If I want a Conan fix, I think I'll just go back to the comics by Roy Thomas. Or if I'm feeling really squirrely, I'll read the original novels by Robert E. Howard. So that's about all I have here. What did you guys think of this movie? I hope, even if you like the movie, that you at least can appreciate this review. And if you can, I hope you'll like, comment, share, and subscribe, as I'll be putting out more videos as often as I can. I hope to very soon be hitting up the 2011 Conan the Barbarian film, so let's hope I can remember to review it in less time than 6 months. Until then, I'll see you next time. Have a good day.